tonight's op-ed. Another middle-class issue. Told you last night we're going to be committed to the middle class in this hour on MSNBC. Tonight it's the Employee Free Choice Act. I'm here to report to you tonight that this act is in the danger zone. But let's back up just a little bit and give you a history here. The unions put the Democrats in the majority. Bottom line, had it not been for the efforts in 2006 in Pennsylvania and in Ohio, those Senate seats would have never been won. Also, Senate seats were picked up in Missouri and Montana. So now we roll it to 2008, and the unions again with an unprecedented effort of $40 million, social networking, boots on the ground, and they want one thing. It's their biggest issue in 40 years in labor, and it is the Employee Free Choice Act. Now, what is it? Well, let's go to the board. The Employee Free Choice Act is about just that, choice. What could be more American than having a choice in the workplace as to whether you're going to organize or not? Now, the point being here is that if you get your friends together in the workplace and you decide you want to do collective bargaining, you can do it. Yes, you can do it today, but this would change. Now, one of the claims that's being made out there by the antis of the Employee Free Choice Act is that this would take away the right of a secret ballot. Folks, I'm telling you tonight, that is an absolute lie, and the advertising that has been out there by the antis is misleading Americans across the board on this. If you're in the workplace and if you want to have a secret ballot or if you want to have an open ballot, you can do that. This law would not change that. Now, also, the thing that the management and ownership doesn't like is there is a date specific when it comes to getting a deal. You know, voting in a union in the workplace is one thing. Then going to the front office and getting a deal with the employees, that's something else. The stall tactics, the intimidation of the employees who actually started this whole doggone thing. And so there is binding arbitration. They're going to have 90 days to get a deal done. And then, of course, there would be binding arbitration. And that's what the antis in the front office doesn't like. Now, there is a change in the landscape in the last 24 hours. I have called on all Democrats to stand up. We know who put you in office, and this is what the union and the working folk and the wage earners of this country want. Well, an Arkansas senator, Blanche Lincoln, has decided to take issue with the Employee Free Choice Act. Now, we asked the senator to come on the program tonight. She says she's moving on to another issue. Really? Now, let's talk about Arkansas for just a moment and this comment that was made by the senator from Arkansas. It's one of those issues that creates great division as well as distraction at a time we all need to have hands on deck. Wait a second. What division? What distraction? This is what the American wage earners want. Every poll in the workplace in the country is coming up positive on this. This is what the unions want. And I've been told by some union heads, Democrats, if you don't deliver on this, it could be a rough road to hoe in 10. There is a small window of opportunity to get this thing done, and they need to get it done. Now, in Arkansas, I find it hard to believe that a senator from a state where wage earners are pretty much depressed wouldn't support a deal like this. For instance, the U.S. median income versus Arkansas median income, $50,000 across the country, $50,200. The Arkansas median income is $39,500. Senator, your state is 47th out of 50th when it comes to wages. Now, I know that Walmart's in the backyard and they don't like this union thing at all. But looking at the total picture of it, doesn't a rising tide lift all boats? Don't the people of Arkansas deserve this opportunity? I would think they would, considering the statistics I just showed you. Now, it's going to be some tough sledding for some centrist Democrats out there who don't really want to admit who got them in the majority back in November. And I want to know, where does the President of the United States stand on this? Now, President Obama, you know I'm a big fan. Hey, I was the first progressive talker to come out in your corner, and you can't get me out of your corner. I'm a big fan. I believe in what you're doing. I think we documented on this program last night how awesome a 77-day run you have had leading this country. Your trip to the G20 has been absolutely outstanding. But, Mr. President, I need you to say to the American people and the wage earners of this country that you will support and you will sign the Employee Free Choice Act if it comes to your desk. How bad do they want it? Joining me now is Stephen Lerner of the Service Employees International Union. Mr. Lerner, great to have you with us here tonight on the Ed program.
It's great to be here, and congratulations on your show. We need to hear your voice. It's great to hear everything you're saying.
Well, I have to tell you, my friend, if we don't get this thing passed, it's all for naught. I want to know, are you comfortable where the president stands on this right now?
Well, you know, President Obama has been incredibly clear. He said he supports the act. He said he'll sign the act. And he said again, the Employee Free Choice Act. And he said again and again, he doesn't buy the argument from people who create all these minor issues about what they don't like about it. He says you're either for letting the majority decide or not, and he's for it. And we ought to build on that. And all over the country need to have the message that this is how we rebuild the middle class. This is how we make our country work for the majority of people again.
Okay, now I can get any senator to say that. I can get them all, oh, we're fighting for the middle class, we got to have health care, education, this, that, and the other. I'm talking about moving wages that have been stagnant for the working folk of America versus that of CEOs that are walking away with millions and billions of dollars. When are we going to get some, fairness in this whole system? And this act will do it. How bad do you want it?
Well, I'll tell you, not only, let me give you an example. You know, we talk about CEOs. Ken Lewis, the head of Bank of America, made $35 million in the last 2 years. The average teller at Bank of America made $21,000. They got $45 billion in our tax dollars. Then they gave themselves $5 billion in bonuses. That's a lot of billions. But think about this. If you had divided those bonuses among the tellers, it would have been $150,000 per teller. So that's what's wrong here is there's a small group at the top of billionaires and banks. They're taking the money. And what the Employee Free Choice Act is about is how do we change that so that instead we rebuild the middle class by raising wages, by getting people benefits. And we want it bad. And I think what you're going to see is as people head out to the districts on the recess, a lot of these Democrats who are getting a little wobbly, they're going to have to look in the eyes of their constituents who are saying, I need a raise, I need a union, I need a better life, and I need you to be behind me.
Well, tell us and tell our audience about these rallies that are going to be taken across America. How intense are they going to be, and do you think they're going to have an effect?
Well, there's going to be hundreds of events around the country, ranging from workers' roundtables to people going to talk to their senators. On the 28th of April, we're going to be at Bank of America around the country calling on them to stop fighting free choice and using our tax dollars to keep wages low. I think you're going to see an interesting thing happening, which is we got a spirit of hope in this country that we can make things better. And there's a growing feeling of anger.
Yeah, Mr. Lerner, I don't want to misstate the facts at all here on MSNBC. Right. I want to be very clear. The American people, every poll shows that they're in favor of this. Am I correct on that?
The American people are in favor. The majority of Congress, the majority, everybody's for it, except for big business that's using their power to try to stop it.
Okay, now are you in favor, or would the SEIU, would you go along with a compromise? Lanny Davis is out there. He says he's got some CEOs on board that are willing to do a compromise. Is a compromise a loss for labor?
Talking about a compromise misses the real point here. The point is we need a law and a change that lets workers organize, lets them unite, and lets them rebuild the middle class. And we're very suspicious about people who are against unions who then say, oh, I have a compromise. We think their compromise is to keep the status quo.
Mr. Lerner, good to have you with us tonight. But I have to tell you, I got an issue with these centrist Democrats who aren't going to work for the wage earners. This is still a heavy lift. Good to have you with us. We'll continue to focus on this and the middle class.
Great. Thanks. Good to be on.